Just a quick one before we get into this episode. If you're in the UK and you use supplements, I'd highly recommend checking out Reflex Nutrition, where they're giving up to 40% on all their range if you use the code PTRNT at checkout. I've been using Reflex for nearly a decade, with their microwave being one of my favorite whey proteins. It's grass-fed, hormone-free, and digests so well compared to most on the market. Check out their full supplement range, including all your transformation basics and plant-based alternatives on reflexnutrition.com and use the code PTRNT at checkout for up to 40% off. With all that's happening in the world right now with the coronavirus pandemic, RNT coach Nathan and I decided to jump on the mic this week to discuss how to control the narrative of your self-care and make physical and mental health the number one priority. In this episode, we're going to cover how to boost your immune system, examples of home workouts, nutrition advice, tips on working from home, and how to maintain your mental health, a topic that's so important in uncertain times like these. I hope this helps. We're all in this together, and we will get through this. And if this episode was valuable to you, please share it with your family, friends, and colleagues so they can benefit and stay healthy as well. Let's dive in. So I was thinking this morning, I was writing in my journal, and I was thinking, is this whole coronavirus pandemic like nature's way of telling us to slow down, regroup, think, plan, and prime for the next phase? Because, I don't know if I've told you before, but I think we're connected to some sort of higher power. And the way I was thinking about it this morning is that the laws of the universe make everything that the coronavirus pandemic is creating purely a balancing act. And that there's no real bad that's in this situation of coronavirus, potentially. And because there's always two sides of the coin. We always talk about duality. There's always two sides of the coin. And this side of the coin is merely equalizing the incessant strive for growth that we will have and the damage to nature and the environment. And it's almost society's desperate need for a reset. What do you think about that?
I 100% agree that the law of duality is always in play. And I think if you look at how today's society is, it is always progressive and fast-paced. And that what this has done at very least is made us take stock of the simple things, mainly toilet roll. mainly toilet roll and dried goods and canned tinned peaches. But I do think that there is a level that it always grounds you. And you've always said to me about you got to humble yourself before you get humbled. I think this is just the way that it's working for us. And unfortunately, it has to be a case where it's something as common as a virus to really settle us. Yeah.
I think it's biology's way of creating that law of duality. Because these things are, created from, I don't know the science behind how viruses are made. I don't know if you know, I don't know the medical reasons.
This one was made because Chinese people were eating bats, but, and the spread between animals and the virus crossing over there.
But it's just, there's got to be something there. The universe is balancing us here and just telling us all to calm down and just take stock and slow down as well. Because we're all guilty of pushing so hard, and maybe this is what we all need, is just a bit of a reset. Although, given the fact that I already work from home, I don't know how much different it is for me, which sort of segues into the first topic that we want to talk about here. And, for a lot of people, working from home can be really difficult if you're not used to it. I've personally been doing it for 3 years. You've been doing it for just over 2 years now, although I don't know if it's been working from home throughout that period. So I've been working home for quite a long time. And with the quarantines being put in place, with a lot of self-isolation, more and more people are going to be working from home. For some people like myself, I actually enjoy it because of my introvert nature and the fact that I just feel like I'm in my own bubble. So for me, it's fine. But I know for other people who love being in the office, love being around people, they can really struggle. So for a lot of people, it can be a big struggle, and loneliness and struggles with mental health around working from home can be a big issue. So I thought we'll kick off this podcast just giving some tips to people who will be working from home, how they can maximize the experience and stay productive. Do you have anything you want to kick off with, or?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's an absolute minefield when you're working from home, and I think it just magnifies a lot of things within the lifestyle of the person that's working from home. I have a lot of clients, and even myself, I struggled to work in the same place that you eat, you socialize, you do all those different types of things, because you have to, first off, create rules around your day. You have to compartmentalize, and you have to really look at how you're setting yourself up for success on a day-to-day basis. Whereas, a lot of people by nature will use the working and going to work as an act of like getting in the mindset to go and work. When you're at home, you're in that mindset of chill out, watch TV, not do much, and socialize. And to be able to flip the switch, but then also be able to flip it back is very, very difficult. And I've struggled with that on both edges, where you struggle to flip it to professional, and then you struggle to flip it back in terms of chilling out. You really have to put some things in place. So, for example, at the moment in time, I am sitting in my mum and dad's conservatory, having moved back from Spain, obviously, just in time. I have a box next to me, which is my work box, and it's like Pandora's box. And basically, after every day and before every morning, I put my laptop in that box and put my water bottle, all those type of things into that box. In the mornings, I'll open it up and get it out and ready to go. And that's my go-to, as well as I have a work uniform, which is a onesie. But I'm really embracing the work from home lifestyle. But having that outfit allows me to change into it, so that I change into professional. And then when I change out of it, I shed the skin and I go to Nathan, the normal guy.
Yeah.
So you need that outfit, and you've had that for years, right? With the red and blue t-shirts.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just I wake up, I pick the same joggers out, pick whatever hoodies out there, and that's all essentially my uniform to work in inverted commas. But for me, it's like you got to have those rules, like we said, and maintaining. If you're coming from a position where you're in the office to being at home, you got to transfer those 3 S's, the structure, strategy, and systems that you use on a day-to-day basis at work, back into the home environment. So if you normally go for a coffee before work, you got to do the same. You should do the same if you're at home. If you have a certain precursor that you use to get yourself in the mind frame to work, for many people, it might be that commute. The commute can be a precursor to get into that mindset. If that's your normal precursor, you could change it to going for a walk around the block. And that could be your commute to home. And then when you get back into the house, you go to your designated area and you make sure you only work from that area. And I think the compartmentalizing thing is huge. And I've always got this corner in the sofa that I only use to work. And then I'll rotate it in the day, and then I'll go into what's now my home office, and I'll go into that. And then try and stay in there in the afternoon, so that when I go back in the evening into the normal area, and then I try not to sit in the same spot on the sofa that I was working on. And the reason for the working on the sofa is I just find it really comfortable when I'm writing. But for all the other day-to-day stuff, I prefer being on a desk. But the simple act of just sitting on a different cushion can make all the difference, because if you're in that cushion that you work in and then you relax in, it's so difficult to actually switch off.
It's like putting your pre-workout song on before you go to bed.
Yeah.
The song that you pump up to, like mine's Stormzy at the moment, Audacious, and I listen to that before the workout. If I put that on like before bed, I'd be hyped and ready to go for a session. It's just the same as that. Your associations really do master you, and your environment can do that for you as well.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to have, it's the blurring of the boundaries you want to avoid, essentially. So compartmentalizing is huge. So we've got creating rules, and we've got compartmentalizing. And then the third thing I would say is, you got to treat your day like you're actually at work. So you can't suddenly start doing household chores all throughout the day. You can't just suddenly say, I'm doing the ironing at 12, I'm doing the dishes at 2 or whatever. Like, you got to treat it like a working day. The way I do it personally is I use those little things as breaks if I was to do it. And I said, I'll use it as breaks, or I'll just do it at the end of the day. But what I won't do is I won't sort of blur the boundaries, and I'll try and create a difference between home and work. And I think, again, that's really important. So you don't want to be just like switching on the TV during your break, because you're not going to do that at work, are you? You're not going to switch on Netflix at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. mean, that's one of the benefits of working from home, but it can completely like stall your productivity if you're not disciplined with the ability to only watch 15 to 20 minutes of Netflix. If you can't do that, you should not be using that as a break.
No, I tried this so many times with the travel last year. I tried to have my cake and eat it when I was like, oh no, I'll just go out and visit the Rio de Janeiro for the whole day between 11 and 2, and then come back and do 4 hours work in the evening. And it turned from a work day into sidetracked by sightseeing, which is obviously the advanced case of this, because obviously most of you will be probably quarantined. But I tried to have my cake and eat it, whereas you would watch Netflix or like get sidetracked. I tried to do that, and it ended up really like hampering my productivity, hampering my ability to work for long periods. And ultimately, you never really get the best of both worlds, because even if you're doing the ironing, you're thinking about work, or vice versa. So if you're doing your work and you're working from 9 to 5, work from 9 to 5. I think a big one is not getting involved in the family dynamics. Which is because you're at home means that you have to do X, Y, and Z. Like my mum and dad are here, and me being at home, unless I had the art of saying no, they would be like, oh, could you just do the washing up, or could you just do the ironing? It's like, would I be able to do the ironing if I was around the corner at my work? No. So I'm not going to do it during the day, because I'm going to treat it like a work day. And I think that's really important, because people don't, of the elder generation or the people that I've never seen like working from home or digitally working, they won't know or appreciate the fact is that you're still working. So you need to have those clear boundaries with those people and use the art of saying no. It's like, no, my time is not to go and do the ironing, do the washing, get involved in your politics, whatever. You're going to say no, and I'm going to do my work. And then after that, we can discuss what you need to discuss.
Yeah, having a chat with everyone beforehand is critical. So if you're living at home with say 3-4 other people, whether it's your kids or whether it's your parents or whether it's siblings or your partner or whatever it is, I think having that discussion and saying, look, I'm going to be working from X to Y. Appreciate if I'm not disturbed, that can go a long way, and it can just ease the tension that it may otherwise be created if you're not pulling your weight with chores or whatever it may be. It can just make things a lot easier and more of an environment to be productive in.
Yeah, and then that leads on to like over communication. Really, like at this moment in time, you're going to be away from the normal office environment. You're going to be away from the normal routines. It's really important that you get those same interactions, whether it's from a personal standpoint or from a business standpoint or from a work standpoint. I know that for me personally, and we've tried this, I can't do social isolation without talking to people. I have to have conversations on a week-to-week basis, or I go absolute nutty. So that's why I schedule in my calls with like friendship calls, I call them, and I make sure I have them on a week-to-week basis. So just try and make sure that you don't over isolate yourself. Or if you're one of those people that love a good chat on a lunch break, or you're one of those people that love a good brew and chat, make sure you're getting them in with the same people and schedule them in as just like 10-minute meetings or something to really start and start your day.
Yeah, I mean, given the fact that we're a completely digital and remote business, and we've obviously experienced this quite a bit, and we all have our sort of routines and habits and needs, differential levels. I think some people, I know like yourself, you prefer a lot of Zoom contact, with other people fine with a couple of voice notes here and there. Whatever your method of communication is, I think it's really important when you're working remotely to be scheduling in those Zoom calls with your team, with your colleagues, with your friends, but also touching base on voice notes or FaceTime, whatever it is, that whatever technology you're leveraging, just keeping that in throughout the day. And even simple things like if you normally have a 10-minute meeting to kick off your day with your manager, just book that in, whether it's on Zoom or whether it's a phone call, get it in. So you're still in the same routine. You're not just sort of out of sight, out of mind. That can easily happen in a remote setup.
100%. They're really, really important for working at home.
Cool. So with working from home, the big issue that can arise is mental health problems. I don't know if it's problems or areas which can become difficulties. It's probably a better word. And then when you compound that with the fact that there's all this fear of unknown, uncertainty, self-isolation, quarantine, and there's constant talk of what's happening. Like if you just go on social media, it's berserk, right? That's all that you're hearing about is all these different outbreaks and the latest stats and the fake news and the rumors, and all of that is enough to make anyone feel more stressed, more overwhelmed, more anxious. And that stress cup analogy that we always talk about, with there's only so much your stress that your body can handle. That stress cup's just going to get tipped over if you're not keeping an eye on your mental health in this period. And it might be worth linking to the show notes, the World Health Organization report. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but it's a real comprehensive report that they produced on protecting your mental health during coronavirus. And I think it was really welcome when it was released, because it was much needed, given all the almost negative vibe that we were getting from everything on social media and the news. So when I read the report, I came up with a couple of tips for people to improve or protect, is a better word, their mental health. So I think it'd be really important to discuss that now on the podcast. And I think the first one is simply setting a limit on your news and social media. Like, I don't know about you, but I think I went through a couple of days ago. I had a day where I was just hooked on it. And then I realized I just felt like crap all the time. Like I was reading it and I felt so much in a funk. And I was thinking, this can't be right, like the way I'm doing it. So now I'm just saying like one time in the day just to quickly check in on any updates. But otherwise I'm not going on it throughout the day, because what can you do, right? You can't control it. You can only do what's best for you. And that's being, be hygienic, be protective of those around you, and be sensible. But knowing all the stats is not going to change the way you behave. It's just going to stress you out even more.
Yeah, and until there's a conclusive, definitive action from the government or whoever, then which you'll know about anyway, because your friends and family will know about it. You're just basically psyching yourself up by looking at it more. I mean, I spent, I think I was in both of my language lessons on Friday morning, and I just wasn't even listening, or I was just repeating what they were saying and watching the news at the same time. I was like, I need to go. And I just basically stopped halfway through one of the lessons. I was like, look, mate, sorry about this. And I'm going to go and pack up my life and move out of Barcelona. And that was just, but I'd started watching news at 6 a.m. and that was 11 a.m. and I'd watched it all the way through. And all it did was just make me anxious. It was a good job. I now moved and got the news, but between 6 and 11, I'd only just watched it. And it was the same news coming through over and over again. It's just the same as the social media stuff. It's just a bit of a dopamine hit. It's a bit of an excitement thing. Even if it's through fear, it's still through still overwhelming excitement in what might happen, the what ifs.
Yeah.
So, I'm still, based on what we've been doing in the last couple of weeks and being here there in Barcelona, I've only been on socials like very, very rarely now to check the news, and that's it. So yeah, I can't even imagine adding this on top of Instagram and Facebook. It would be a complete overwhelm.
Yeah, and I think if you are feeling overwhelmed, it's probably best to mute whatever the triggers are that are coming up, because there's so many hashtags, so many accounts giving their expert advice, which is just driving the fear even more. So hopefully this podcast and the article that I've written that goes with this in the show notes is going to help just give you more strategies to deal with this in what is probably unprecedented times.
Yeah, for sure. And this just really does emphasize, even though importance of mental health, but like the level of self-care that you need to give yourself, and being able to stay on top of what your triggers are and what drives you on a day-to-day basis, and what's going to keep you from being stuck in that cycle of, oh my God, I need to go and get 5 kilos of chicken and 25 toilet rolls from Aldi. What is going to make you feel better. And I think most of it comes back to those the working from home things. Just compartmentalize, create some rules, over communicate, eliminate what you don't need to, decision fatigue, and then worry about you as an individual, what you're doing, what you're eating, what your health is. With these viruses, the biggest, most important factor is that where your health is. The level of obesity and the concern of most people that are experts in the area would say that having health issues and obesity are going to be those bit most at risk. So if there's any time, like you were saying about the duality and the humbling of the universe, is that, if you are mismanaging your health at this moment in time, sort it out, because this is going to keep you in line and keep you from being at a higher risk. No one wants to get this. Nobody wants to have serious issues from it. The level of self-care and using yourself and being a priority to yourself is more evident now than ever.
Yeah, I think self-care, this is going to bring to light the importance of looking after your physical and mental health more than anything. And the worst thing you can do right now is fall into the trap of using a lot of coping mechanisms and coping strategies. So you're going to get people that are going to turn to alcohol, turn to fast food, turn to processed crap and drugs, whatever it may be. These coping mechanisms are probably the worst thing you can do right now. And it's only going to lower your immune system. It's only going to make you feel worse. It's going to make your stress management worse. And it's going to compound all the potential negative effects that you may be feeling right now. So physical, mental self-care on both ends of the spectrum is so important right now. So from a physical point of view, it's hitting that transformation checklist. It's eating well, it's hydration, it's being physically active, it's getting as much sunlight as you can. It's all these things that we do on a day-to-day basis. This just needs to be there on a non-negotiable ultimately. And just on the concept, on the subject of steps, I know a lot of people struggle with steps when they work from home. So I thought I'd give you some quick tips here. One thing that works really well is starting your day off with a long walk. And then once you've done that, you can rack up an easy 3,000 to 4,000 steps. And then throughout the day, what I like to do is sprinkle in 10-minute walks throughout the day. So it could be at regular intervals, or you could even gamify it a bit and put a 10-minute walk in before your next meal. So your meal the 10-minute walk almost becomes a precursor to your next meal. So before you have lunch, okay, I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk. Before I have my snack in the afternoon, I'm going to have a 10-minute walk. And these can just allow you to quickly compound how many steps you get in the day without making it feel quite overwhelming, which can be the case when you work from home and you're not used to those easy steps you get in from a normal, regular commute.
100%. And I think the only one to add on top of that is, if you have a routine, stick to it. Because the moment that you go over your work block, or let's say if you're working to a deadline, or you've got something from your boss or whatnot and send you something through, just make sure that you're getting your work blocks in and making sure that routine stays straight. The non-negotiables around that routine is key.
And then also on the topic of self-care is also mental self-care. So we talked about the physical things you can do, but also this is where journaling practices, meditation, walking, reading, all the things that you're doing for your mind are just as important to keep your stress cup empty. Keep your stress cup empty and just keep yourself in a proactive, positive state.
Yeah, 100%. Keep your mind active, keep your physical active, and everything else should take care of itself.
I think one of the best things in the WHO report was actually they mentioned the importance of not judging people who may be suffering from this. So it said in the report, and I thought it was really good, in that you should never make assumptions about anyone or anything who may be affected by coronavirus, because it can affect anyone. Even if you are very healthy, it still may affect you, regardless of age, gender, ethnicity, nationality, body weight, body composition, whatever it may be. It can affect anyone. So the worst thing you can do for anyone around you is label them as victims or anything derogatory in that manner. It's very important that we're all here for each other, and that we're supporting each other, and we're doing what we can to help not only yourself but those loved ones around you.
100%.
So on the topic of being physically active, let's dive into some tips on nutrition, NEAT, and training.
Cool. So I think training is obviously probably going to be the one that people are most concerned about, as there isn't a shortage of food at the moment, or there isn't there aren't rations. Yes, there's shops saying that you can't have more than 4 of one item, but that's few and far between them being rations. From a training aspect, there's going to be a lot of home workouts going on at the moment, and everyone will probably need to do some level of home workout to ensure that you either you're retaining or stimulating your muscles appropriately towards the goal that you have, whether it's fat loss or muscle building. It is obviously a short-term measure. Home workouts compared to gym, there is no comparison in terms of progressive overload. With the weights that you have in the gym are going to be far better for you, but in these times we've just got to make sure that we can do as best as we can. So grabbing yourself some bands, grabbing yourself some kit like a Swiss ball, and making the best out of a bad situation. Making sure that either you go for some Amazon easy kit, whether it's like I said to you, the bands, or you use body weight only. There's always something that you can do.
I would also say that I don't think it's yes, there's a difference between home workouts and going to the gym, but the gym is more that it's easier to make progression with progressive overload. I don't think you can't not make progress when you're training at home, because ultimately progressive overload is just improvement. Mm-hmm. If you can set yourself up with a challenging workout at home, which there's many ways to do this, then providing you continue to strive for improvement, you will make improvements to your body composition. So I don't think it needs to be seen as a period of stagnation or a period of going backwards. I think most people will benefit from the extra creativity and difference of stimulation here, actually.
100%. I don't know if you've ever had it before, but like you've either trained someone's coming for when we used to do personal training, and they'd be like, I've only just done home workouts, and be jacked.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, what have you been eating, or what have you been doing to like get yourself jacked off home workouts? And then you see them pick up dumbbells and nearly throw them through the roof when they're doing dumbbell presses, because they're putting so much intensity into it.
Yeah.
And you look at these dudes, and you're like, these dudes and these females that have been pushing bodyweight exercises only, a home workout of P90X or whatever. They're in really, really good shape, and it all comes down to the level of effort that is applied. And I think that's one of the biggest things, is that it comes back to that nature of that compartmentalizing, is that if you're going to do a workout in your front room that you normally aren't very active in, then there's going to be a case of you get a bit distracted, or you put on TV when you're trying to do a workout, or the kids are there or whatnot. It takes a good effort to compartmentalize, and that's what's needed when bodyweight workouts and home workouts are in play. Maybe a separate room, maybe a specific workout track, and maybe a specific time before anyone else gets up to really push it.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. Effort trumps everything, and if it's providing you can apply intensity, you're going to be fine. It'll be quite long if we just list out workouts right now. So the best thing to do is to go to the show notes article, where I've put together an example bodyweight only workout, a bands only workout, a dumbbell only workout, and a mix and match option as well. So that'll be the best thing to do if you're looking for some home workout examples, because once you know with the basics of things like push-ups, split squats, band pull-aparts, hip thrusts, all those sorts of things, you can make these exercises pretty difficult. And if you do it in a slow tempo, paused, high rep environment, your body probably will feel quite sore. It's not used to training like that. So don't underestimate it, and train hard should you be opting for home workouts.
And the muscle builders out there that are concerned, we know from the research that you can get muscular hypertrophy at whatever rep range. So 4 reps, 3 reps, 2 reps, 1 rep, all the way up to like 50 reps. So if that's you at home doing 50 reps of press-ups, as long as you take it close to failure or near enough failure, you'll get growth. So for those muscle builders, take those sets and go really, really, really hard. And actually, like I said, effort trumps anything. And then that hypertrophy will happen.
Yeah, that's actually a big piece of advice for anyone who's wondering, this is too easy. Well, if it's too easy, just do more reps and hit failure, because you will hit failure at some point. And there's always ways to make push-ups harder. You elevate your feet, you add a pause at the bottom, you slow down the eccentric, whatever it may be. But even if you only got light weights, just go to failure and you will maybe even stimulate more muscle mass. So don't write that off at all.
No.
And then we've talked about nutrition, which I don't really think needs much elaboration because the same principles really apply. All I would say is, I've seen a lot of shelves of pasta go empty and a lot of processed foods go empty, but all the fruits and veggies seem to be all fine, right?
Why are people eating spaghetti for days? What is it about spaghetti and pasta that make like? Do we have a massive community of Italians, or is it just like people just want like spaghetti bolognese? Is that what it is?
But the reality is, you've got to be. People are focusing on the wrong foods to stock up on. They need to be focusing on quality carbs with lots of fruits and veggies, healthy fats, hitting a protein target. And those are actually the foods that, in my experience so far, they're plentiful.
And you get frozen versions of them as well, right?
Yeah, frozen veggies, frozen fruits, frozen meats, fishes. The other good idea is actually like legumes, lentils, beans. If that's your preference as well. So I don't actually think there's much to speak about on food. I think the only difference really is when you do the training and having that mindset that you can still achieve progress in this time.
100%. And I don't think it's like there's a difference between going in a bunker in an air raid in World War II and getting, Amazon Prime to your door still during this time. Yeah. So I think we'll be just fine. I just got like 10 kilos of chicken delivered this morning and 12 liters of egg whites. Like, we're good. There's you can order anything from Amazon Prime and get it tomorrow, and they do fresh veggies, they do stuff. No one's gotten out of stock yet. It's all good.
So we've got the training covered. We've got the working from home, and we've got the mental health tips. Let's now look at how can we boost or maximize our immune system during this period of time. Again, a lot of it will be linked to what we've already spoken about. So I've got 7 key tips here, and I'll read them out and we can dive into the main ones that we haven't already covered. So we've got sleep and rest, which is something we can touch on afterwards. Hydration, simple but always overlooked. Quality nutrition, spices, vitamin D3, staying active, and stress management. So which one out of those ones do you think could be real game changers for people outside of nutrition and training, which we've already discussed?
I think hydration is probably is an important one. But just the fact that there were 7, how funny is it that all 7 of those are what we indicate for most of our clients on a day-to-day basis, from a transformation checkpoint perspective, all the way to consolidation, investment, and reward. It's like
the transformation checklist is basically this plus like 2 more things.
Yeah. So like it potentially, if you are already doing R&T and you are like getting advice from us, like you're going to be in the best possible shape to kind of fight this. And obviously everyone has their little crosses to bear, whether it is like stress management or like not ticking the boxes with the sleep stuff. There's always things that you can always do better, but as a byproduct of looking after yourself and looking after your health, you're going to get these, which is really cool. But anyway, as I digress, it's like I think hydration is going to be probably the key one, because normally either in the work environment or wherever you are, you're normally in a routine of either getting coffees, getting waters, getting up at certain times for a cup of teas, and you're just going to change your routine. So making sure that hydration stays high. I mean, what I've started doing and what I've done for the last maybe 6-7 weeks is always start the day with just a litre of water, bang, straight away. And so just spend a little bit of time to get that down, and then you're already 1 litre down, and potentially if you're only going to go for 3 or 2.5, you're already half the way there effectively, or a little bit less. And then just staying on top of all the things, cognitive function, training performance, and just overall well-being will be much better with a higher hydration status.
Yeah, absolutely. The one I would really encourage people to do is the vitamin D3. I don't know, you probably know more about the research than I do, but for me, that's an absolute game changer for immune system year round. And I can only imagine it being even better now. Getting at least 10,000 IU a day can be really, really good for keeping your immune system as strong as possible.
Yeah, I mean, like, not the vitamin D research is everything from, for the elderly, reduced risk of falls, cardiovascular disease reduction, blood pressure reduction, bone fractures, overall mortality reduction in asthma, influenza, all of these type of things that they have research on, insulin secretion, and whatnot. There is so many reasons why you should be taking it. And that's why we recommend it to everybody, not even during a pandemic. But you just do yourself justice and keep yourself on the side of healthy by taking this supplement for sure. Obviously, the main reason why we can't get it as much from the sunlight is because the clouds here in the UK, and not to mention we wear gloves, so our skin isn't actually receptive to the sunlight as much. But we can get it from supplementation.
Yeah. And then the other thing is spices. And again, I don't know how much research backs this up, but there's a lot of those old tales of having turmeric and ginger and garlic all over your food. And do I have the hard evidence to back it up? No, but does it work? I think so.
I absolutely love a hot water with a bit of spices. It feels fantastic. I think there are some research that, like I was discussing it with you the other week about the lemon and bitterness.
Yeah.
The way there is some mechanism within the tongue and the back of the throat is that when you stimulate those in a certain bitterness or a certain taste, they have certain reactions on the body. So, those turmeric garlics are quite bitter. That would be correlative of reduced stress and more rest and relaxation. So it's very, very similar to the lemons versus sweet, which is obviously more, you get a bit of a kick out of sweet, whereas bitter and kind of spicy, you wouldn't. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still going to be pouring it all over my food. Yeah. And I think let's finish up on the stress management. I know we've covered it already, but I think this is going to be the real game changer for people, because most people's stress cups are already overflowing. And if you compound everything that's going on right now with their already existing stress cups, it's just going to tip you over the edge and hit your immune system for 6. And it's really going to be difficult for your body to fight anything if you're not managing your stress well. So staying on top of your physical health, staying on top of your mental health, it's so, so important right now. And if there was ever a time to prioritize yourself and make self-care a number one priority in your life, this is it.
Yeah. I think the biggest emphasis for all of this is become a leader. And whether that's taking control of your routine, whether it's taking control of what's around you in your environment, taking control of your day, taking control of what you consume, taking control of what you let go of, whether that's a stress or journaling or whatnot. But you're in control and you have all the choices to make. And you have all the information and you have all the guidance here. So try and utilize it. Try and make sure that you're giving give yourself the best shot at dealing with this and all the changes that it provides.
The one you said there about taking control of what you consume could probably be the best message from this podcast, because that links together with so many of the things we've spoken about. This is where having a handle on your consumption can really make a eye-opening difference. I talk a lot about creation versus consumption. And I think now more than ever, managing your consumption and staying proactive in your day could never be more important.
100%.
Perfect. And on that note, I think we've covered most of what I feel will be very valuable for the listeners today at the stage we're at right now. Of course, things may change. Things may, we don't really know, right? What's going to happen. All being fingers crossed, everything tides over relatively quickly. But if you want more tips, please check out the article in the show notes where we detail how to protect yourself mentally and physically during this pandemic, as well as some example home workouts that may be very useful during this period of time. Otherwise, if you know anyone who may benefit from today's episode or the article linked in the show notes, please pass it on to them. I think it's an important message that gets out there, and the more we can protect ourselves physically, mentally, the better we're all going to be. Thank you so much for being here today on this episode of RNT Fitness Radio. I'd love for you to do a quick little favor for us. Please head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating, leave a comment, and share it with your family and friends. If you're interested in learning more about how to transform your body and positively change your life, go to www.rntfitness.com and explore all our free content on offer. Thank you.